Gather round the campfire. Tonight, we're venturing into the North Woods, where ancient stories ride the winter wind. This isn't your average ghost story. It's the legend of the Wendigo, a name spoken with fear and awe by the First Nations of the Great Lakes in Canada. The Wendigo isn't just a monster, it's a warning, a spirit born from the harshest winters and the darkest corners of the human heart. Deep in Algonquian-speaking cultures, the Wendigo is a malevolent force, sometimes a spirit, sometimes a creature, always a symbol of the ultimate taboo, cannibalism. The legend says that in times of starvation, those who eat human flesh are cursed, transformed into Wendigos, forever hungry, forever lost. Picture the setting: endless forests, snow piling high, silence broken only by distant snaps in the dark. Is it a deer? Or something else, something gaunt and ravenous? The Wendigo legend is shaped by this unforgiving wilderness where survival and monstrosity are separated by a thin, icy line. Our journey tonight isn't about proving the Wendigo exists. It's about understanding why this legend endures. We'll peel back layers of folklore, history, and chilling eyewitness accounts to see what makes the Wendigo so powerful. We'll explore the psychology of fear and the stories passed down through generations. So pull your jacket tighter and listen closely. The wind is picking up and it's whispering a name. Let's dive in and see if we can track down the truth behind the terrifying tale of the Wendigo. The forest is waiting. Are you ready? To understand the Wendigo, we have to go back, way back, before European settlers, to when First Nations peoples lived in deep connection with the land. The Wendigo legend is ancient, passed down as a warning against greed and selfishness, two forces that could destroy a community in the brutal northern winters. In these harsh environments, hoarding or acting selfishly could mean disaster for everyone. The Wendigo became a symbol of what happens when someone breaks the ultimate taboo: cannibalism. The legend says those who eat human flesh, or even those who are greedy, risk being possessed or transformed into a Wendigo. Some stories say shamans could curse enemies, turning them into these icy-hearted monsters. The Wendigo's frozen heart is a metaphor for the coldness that enters a soul when they abandon their community. This isn't just a monster story. It's a cultural artifact, a psychological warning, and a record of survival in a harsh world. The Wendigo legend tells us about the values of sharing, respect, and the dangers of giving in to our darkest impulses. Before we get to the scary sightings, remember, the real fear is not just being eaten, but losing your humanity. The Wendigo is a monster born from the cold and from the choices we make. That's the foundation of the legend.
Things you only talk about at the back of the cave.
So what does a Wendigo look like? If you ever saw one, you'd never forget it. Most stories describe it as impossibly tall and skeletal, skin stretched tight over bones, gray and decaying, a grotesque parody of starvation. The more it eats, the hungrier and thinner it becomes, a symbol of insatiable greed. Its eyes are sunken, glowing with a predatory light, or empty as pits, always watching, always hunting. Long, stringy hair, jagged teeth, tattered lips, and claws that can tear through flesh. This is the stuff of nightmares. It moves with unnatural speed and silence, stalking prey for days, always just out of sight. Some say you'll smell it before you see it, a stench of death and decay, a chill that seeps into your bones. The Wendigo isn't just a monster you see, it's a presence you feel. A cold dread that drains hope from the air. It's the ultimate predator of the North Woods, perfectly adapted to its frozen, unforgiving home. The terror isn't just in its form, but in the feeling it brings, a monster that haunts your soul. That's what makes the Wendigo unforgettable. The Wendigo isn't just a beast, it's a symbol of unchecked greed and excess. In Algonquian cultures, survival depended on sharing and cooperation. Taking more than you need was seen as monstrous. The Wendigo is the embodiment of that sin, a hunger that can never be satisfied. Unlike other cryptids, the Wendigo's horror starts with a person, someone who gives in to their darkest impulse or who is consumed by greed even in times of plenty. This opens the door for the Wendigo spirit, transforming them from human to monster. The legend is a walking cautionary tale. Let your desires consume you, and you lose your humanity. Psychologists call it Wendigo psychosis, a culture-bound syndrome where people crave human flesh and fear they're turning into a monster. In the past, Those showing these symptoms were sometimes executed. Out of fear, they truly transformed. Whether it's a real condition, a label for outcasts, or a belief in spiritual possession, the threat was taken seriously. The real fear isn't just a monster in the woods, it's the monster within. The Wendigo asks, what would you do to survive? How far would you go? And what would you become? It's a monster born from human weakness. And that's what makes it so chilling. The greatest dangers aren't always outside, they're inside us. Legends are one thing, but what happens when the Wendigo steps into history? Enter Swift Runner, a Plains Cree hunter from Alberta. In the winter of 1878, Swift Runner and his family vanished into the wilderness. When spring came, he returned alone, claiming his family had starved. But suspicions grew. He didn't look starved, and his story didn't add up. Authorities investigated and found a scene of horror human bones, cracked for marrow, bodies dismembered and cooked. Swift Runner confessed he had killed and eaten his family. His explanation? He claimed he was possessed by the Wendigo spirit, driven to monstrous acts. He was arrested, tried, and hanged in 1879. Swift Runner's case is one of the most disturbing examples of the Wendigo legend blurring the line between folklore, psychology, and true crime. Was it madness, evil, or something else? The story haunts Canadian history and keeps the Wendigo legend alive. Sometimes the scariest tales are true. The Wendigo isn't just a story, it's a shadow that lingers, and it's always hungry. The Wendigo legend isn't just about monsters, it's about those who fought them. Meet Jack Fiddler, the legendary OG Cree shaman and Wendigo hunter. Fiddler claimed to have defeated 14 Wendigos, protecting his people from those believed to be transforming. When someone showed signs of Wendigo psychosis, withdrawal, violence, cravings, Fiddler was called to intervene. His method? Kill the afflicted before they could fully transform. A mercy in his eyes to save both the victim and the community. But when Canadian law caught up, Fiddler and his brother were arrested for murder in 1907. To the authorities, they were killers. To their people, they were heroes. Fiddler tried to explain his actions, but the cultural gap was too wide. Before the trial ended, Fiddler escaped and took his own life. His story is a tragic chapter in the Wendigo legend, a clash of worlds, and a reminder of the deep roots of this belief. The Wendigo isn't just a monster, it's a force that shaped lives, laws, and destinies. Sometimes fighting monsters means becoming one in the eyes of others. The legend endures. You'd think a creature born from famine and folklore would fade away in the age of smartphones, but the Wendigo is more alive than ever. It's a star in horror movies, TV shows, video games, and online creepypastas. Sometimes true to legend, sometimes reimagined with antlers and deer skulls. This new look isn't from original folklore, but it's become iconic, a digital evolution of the myth. Online, stories of real-life encounters persist. Hikers and hunters claim to see tall, pale figures, hear strange whistles, or feel a bone-deep dread in the woods. Are these real? Or just the power of suggestion at work? The mind plays tricks, especially in the dark, but the sheer number of stories is hard to ignore. Whether fact or fiction, the Wendigo's power to terrify hasn't faded, it's just gone viral. The legend adapts, evolves, and spreads, just like the monster itself. In the digital age, the Wendigo is everywhere. The whisper on the wind has become a global scream. Let's put on our skeptic hats. Could the Wendigo actually exist? Biologically, a 15-foot skeletal monster is impossible. No evidence, no fossils, no DNA. So what's behind the stories? One answer: Wendigo psychosis, a rare syndrome where starvation and isolation trigger delusions of cannibalism. The legend gives sufferers a framework for their terror. They're not just losing their minds, they're becoming a monster. Misidentification is another answer. A bear on hind legs, a moose, or a mangy animal can look monstrous in the right light, add fear and imagination, and a sick coyote becomes a cryptid. But the real power is in the story itself, a legend that taps into primal fears, darkness, hunger, isolation, and our own capacity for evil. In the woods, every shadow and sound feels like proof. The Wendigo may not be real flesh and blood, but it's a force in the human mind. Sometimes, that's all it takes. We've chased many cryptids, but the Wendigo stands apart. Most cryptids are just unknown animals. Bigfoot, Nessie, the Yeti. The Wendigo is a monster with a message. Its existence is tied to human morality, greed, selfishness, and the ultimate taboo. You don't just find a Wendigo, you create one by crossing a line. The Wendigo was once a person. Its horror is rooted in transformation, not just attack. It's a dark mirror showing what we can become. The legend is deeply tied to Algonquian culture and the harsh North Woods. Understanding it means understanding its people and their world. Unlike other cryptids, the Wendigo doesn't breed, it spreads like a curse, turning victims into monsters. The threat isn't just death, it's becoming what you fear. This infectious, cyclical horror makes the Wendigo an eternal danger. It's not an endangered species, it's a warning that never dies. The Wendigo is a monster born from us, for as long as human weakness exists. That's what sets it apart. So why does the Wendigo still haunt us? It's more than a monster. It's a record of famine, a moral lesson, a psychological phenomenon, and a story that refuses to die. In a world obsessed with more money, more power, more stuff, the Wendigo is a warning about hunger that can never be satisfied. It's the embodiment of consumerism gone mad, a reminder that endless desire will eventually consume us. The Wendigo also taps into our primal fear of the wild, the feeling of being small and vulnerable in a vast, indifferent world. Whether real or metaphor, its impact is undeniable. The legend adapts, evolves, and keeps finding new ways to scare us. Sometimes the greatest mysteries aren't out there, they're inside us. So next time you're alone in the woods and feel a sudden chill, remember, the Wendigo is always hungry. The legend is out there, waiting, and it's never satisfied. Now who wants to check on that noise in the trees?